I get it. So,
So
okay. Well, I'm not gonna talk that long. I'm gonna move on to mine really fast because I'm gonna do mine in 10 minutes. Because we have been talking for 2.5 hours, and we can
I
talk
had everybody
longer.
talking. Right?
Yeah, and it's late. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try to do mine in 10 minutes or whatever. I don't even really have too much to talk about. In all honesty, my main thing was, as everybody on this podcast knows, Cyberpunk is a cyber shit. It's a cyber goddamn. You know what I'm saying? Like right
My
now,
mouth, baby.
Casio has his copy. So for anybody who doesn't know, which you have to be under a rock at this point if you don't know, but basically, CD Project Red is in a little bit of trouble because apparently they did not do their testing due diligence on current gen consoles, and that means PS4s and Xbox Ones. So they tested it really for next gen, and they tested it for PC, but they didn't do their due diligence on current gen, and it has caused problems. Now that does not mean that everybody has had problems. So for people like Casio, he might be able to play it and it's fine. You know what I'm saying? I think Fallen Marvel said you got the game, right? And didn't you say
I
you had
I
the
have
game?
it. I have it. I haven't started playing it yet.
Okay.
So, but I kind of waited till like I started hearing some things and like kind of wait for some of the things to die down a little bit. And I know they released a hot fix to kind of supposedly fix
Not
the
until
most of the
February.
problem.
Yeah,
So,
not
no,
not
no, no.
until
They
February.
had one to come out this month. They did have
Oh,
one to
okay.
come
I
out this
didn't think
month.
it was till
They
February.
kind of
Okay.
hold off until like the next two big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But like from what I've seen, it's like yeah, the people who have PS4s and Xbox Ones, uh, I don't know if they said the Pros or the One X's specifically, but I know they were saying like how the base models, like the ones from
Mm-hmm.
2013 and 2014, those basically can't run them now. Granted,
Right.
remember these are 7-year-old consoles now. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like one of those things where like they should have definitely made sure it worked. But for a person like me that left the base model like a long time ago, it's just like I would like I'm just from my mindset, I'm just thinking like, damn, people still using the base models? Like, I mean,
People still got PS2s. You know what I'm saying? And first
I
generation
got mine too,
Xboxes.
but I mean,
You know
I
what I'm
got
saying?
mine
So
too,
it's
but
like,
still.
Everybody
the
can't upgrade
problem is,
like that. Everybody
no,
can
and
upgrade like
that's true. And see,
It's,
and the
and it's like
problem
I
was,
had to get out of that mindset. I was like,
because
it's
the
like okay,
problem is that, as for anybody obviously who's been keeping up, like Cyberpunk got announced 8 years ago. Okay, 7 8 years
that
ago.
I
It got
didn't.
announced. It got announced in like 2012, 2013. Okay, now I don't know when exactly they actually started the development. It could have been 2013. It could have been 2015. But still, if we're talking, let's say 2015, that's still 5 years, right? So
Yeah,
you still have, when you're making a game, you still, in my opinion, should be making that game for now. Maybe not old gen, going along with your what you just said, Follow Marvel, but current gen Xbox Ones and PS4s, you should be making for that game, especially with the fact that one big thing, Xbox is definitely backwards compatible. Okay, they making shit going all the way back to the first Xbox, and then PlayStation, their PlayStation 5s are I think it's backwards compatible with a decent amount of PS4 games. At least they're trying to do more
yeah.
PS4 backwards
Yeah,
compatibility.
they
So
confirmed that all but 10 games can run
okay,
on the
so
PS5, and
they've
they're a
done
bunch
well
of
about doing that.
right, and they're
Right.
like a bunch of obscure games that nobody really remembers. So it's
So it's like, if you're a game developer, even though yes, you are looking forward to the next gen and you want to make it sure it runs on the next gen, but you should know most people right now are still on current gen consoles. So
mhm.
from that perspective, I feel like they did not do their due diligence, being that they've been working on this game for however long they've been working on it. And then the problem has come where anybody who saw, like, CDPR's own shareholders is suing the software company for
Oh,
misleading them and
ooh,
misleading the public about the game itself. They apparently were reassured by CDPR that it would work on every generation. Well, current gen and next gen. I won't say super old, you know what I'm saying, but current gen and next
right.
gen, but it can't. So like they're being sued, their own shareholders is suing the company on the fact of being misled. So CDPR is trying to come up with like a rigorous defense and like, that kind of thing. It's bad when your shareholders are suing you, a development company. You know what I'm saying? For not saying what you told them was going to
That
do.
kind of reminds me of a certain storyline that was used in a certain movie that came out on a certain holiday this past week.
What we talk about? What
We just
certain?
watched it today.
Oh, I had to think like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? I guess that did happen. In the one part, I feel like I want to talk about, but so it leads. So it if the shareholders win, the case. I don't know when the case will go. Obviously, the case will probably go, next year or whatever if they don't settle, whatever. But it sets an interesting precedent because how long are we going to continue to let developers release games before they're ready? You know what I'm saying? Like Cyberpunk in this particular instance, again, I don't know. I haven't looked it up, and that's probably me not doing my due diligence. I haven't looked at when they actually started working on it, but they announced Cyberpunk 7-8 years ago. That's 7-8 years. That's almost a decade of time to get this game right. Okay, so and that's not saying people wanted to argue that when The Witcher came out, it had some bugs. There's other and yes, we all know that a lot of games these days come out with some bugs. I mean, you got glitches, you know what I'm saying, here and there. However, I'm gonna say this again because it was my personal experience, and I don't know if anybody else had it, but Anthem should have taught everybody a lot. Okay, and Anthem honestly taught people a lot. It was literally unplayable. It was shutting consoles down. It was so buggy. You know what I'm saying? It took them forever to finally fix it where it wasn't no buzz. And me, I bought that game day one when it dropped. That was a highly anticipated game for me. I was looking forward to Anthem. I couldn't play that whole for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? And by the time they fixed it, I didn't even want to play it no more. And then when I watched my daughter play it, I find out she beat the game in 3 hours. It wasn't even that long. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if the game wasn't buggy, I would have been pissed that the game wasn't even that long. Like it's like when do we get to a point where companies stop and Cyberpunk didn't do a beta testing? They should have. They should have did a beta run. Okay, let people play the game before it got released, get some feedback and whatever. I know that people talk about how consumers push the game and they had this game in development and idea whatever for anywhere between 5 to 8 years. Players aren't pushing the game at that point. You didn't have almost a decade to get this shit right. So how long are we going to let software? I mean, in games as consumers, we're paying $60, $70, $80, depending on if you get like a special edition, you know what I'm saying, of the game that come with extra stuff. Some people coughing out, $100 or whatever. I'm cheap, so I ain't coughing up that much. But, you got some people coughing out like $100 for these editions. It comes with extra skins, extra weapons, I mean, this is, then let's, again, we talked about it before. Games that have DLCs and expansions that you got to pay for. So how long are we going to have games that aren't finished day one? You know what I'm saying?
It does set a precedent. I think what kind of sets Project Red like apart in this situation, I guess, or whatever, in a way, it's like it really seems like something. For one, I can tell that this was like a really ambitious game that they were trying to, and I just it was something that it was like, okay, we're trying to do this, but like, is it going to work the way we want it to?
Right.
And I think they had to spend a lot of time trying to figure that out, whether or not they were going to have it ready by then, and then they didn't.
Right.
And then they tried to like go through it. It was like, hey, it'll be ready in the next couple years, blah, 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 or whatever. And I think what happened here, and it probably is what spread them too thin, is that they probably initially wanted it to come out on the PS4 and Xbox One X, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what they wanted to do probably didn't take those into account. and probably spread themselves way too thin and whatnot, to the point where it's just, that's probably why they wound up being practically unplayable on those consoles, because I know the people who got the game for their next gen consoles and PC had much less problems than those that
Yeah.
were playing on console.
Yeah.
So it really seems like at some point they really had more so the next gen stuff in mind versus the old gen. So I don't know, like, if it was a situation where they felt like, okay, if we work on it this way or whatever, then maybe optimize it backwards or whatever, maybe that'll work, but maybe something got screwed up somewhere. So like, who knows?
Right.
So because CD Projekt Red is known to be, like, to come out with something stuff and they try to fix stuff. So it's like, even with this game, you know, there aren't a bunch of different deluxe editions or extra content,
Right. I
whatever.
noticed that.
Right, it's just a standard one, and then it's the collector's one with the statue if you wanted that one. So
Right.
like, you're still getting a complete game, and whatever else they do, whatever like they're giving at you at no charge. So I at least still see what they're trying to do there and trying to make it work. But you know, again, expectations are a mother, like, sometimes or whatever. And it's like you said, even with Anthem, it's just like, you know, Anthem came out, you know, it didn't really do as much as it was or whatever. Now, granted, this is EA, and EA has been in the hot seat for probably like the last decade.
Yes.
So, you know, it's
But at the
kind of
same
like,
time, they had ample time to do what they needed to do
they
before they
did,
released
and
that game.
they did,
And that was the point I was trying to make.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, you're right, you're right. It's just like I said, it's just like, as far as development goes, like, we don't know what kind of stuff happened. Like, anytime any game goes in development hell for a number of years, we don't know what's going on as far as development goes, because, you know, obviously all that time, like, they have to put money in it, they got to hire designers, blah blah blah, whatever. So it could be like a whole lot of stuff that they had to try to get cleared up and do that and whatever. So like, I hear what you're saying on the Anthem front, and like, even EA has claimed that they are trying to do something to kind of give Anthem, like, breathe new life into Anthem. Hopefully they do that, but we'll see. Now, another another thing we should keep in mind is that the same thing happened with No Man's Sky, which was also a highly anticipated game when they announced it. And that game has far redeemed itself over the last few years. So I feel like, and just hopefully Project Red will get it together by then. They definitely have a lot of opportunity to redeem themselves with
I
this.
agree. I do agree with that. I do.
So I'm just going to stay optimistic with it for now, because I think the concept of the game is great. Like, I can see the potential there, and just hopefully they'll be able to get out from under them, and, you know, just hopefully like it'll turn around for them, because like, I don't want to see them like go under for this. I don't want to see any video game developer like go under because of it or whatever. But, you know, I get,
and you know what's crazy is that they lost like so much money. You know, the shareholders saw their stocks plummet. You know, I mean, it's there's so much that rides on a game when it becomes as highly anticipated as Cyberpunk did, and that's kind of the downside of it.
And the game still sold, even though with
it did. I mean, I think it's their most highest selling game to date. Well, obviously, I mean, it's a lot much more, but I think it's their most high. So it did sell. But I mean, you know, it's bad when it's bad. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And Sony pulled it off of the online catalog. You can't get I don't own the Sony, but the last reports I read, they pulled it off of the store online. Yeah, they pulled it off the
digital store.
So yeah, Xbox kept it on, but you can get your refund if you bought it. But Xbox left it on there, but it's not highlighted. You know how sometimes they might have a section where it's like highlighted games, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever. It's not highlighted anymore. So I would have to search to find Cyberpunk. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's bad, because we've been looking forward. Developers been looking forward to it. Obviously, shareholders. I mean, everybody's looking forward to it. And so for this to happen, it does suck all the way around. But it's like, you have time. it's not one of those games where they announced it like 2, 3 years ago and they trying to shove it all together. Like y'all
Right.
announced this game in 2012, 2013. So
Yeah.
as you know, at some point is and like you said, there might have been pressures behind the scenes that we don't know. I'm sure there was. You know what I'm saying? I have no doubt that there was pressures. I have no doubt maybe some people quit. You know what I'm saying? Some things ain't work and whatever. And they were so looking forward to next gen that I do feel like maybe they should have just made it a next gen game because they were testing it so much on for
At
to
this
get ready for
point,
the PS5 and the Xbox.
that probably would have helped them if they would have just like, you know
Yep.
what, hey,
You
like
can't play it on the current gen.
hey, look, PC players, y'all can get it, but hey,
The rest of y'all
you
might
know,
have to wait a year.
right. Like that's just something they probably should have held off on. It's like like even so, they probably could have done something like maybe where it's like they could have just released like they probably could have just waited to probably like February and just waited till like they could have gotten it out or whatever, or just release the PS5 version first before the PS4 version or something. I don't know. Like
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I said, it's like it's a lot of stuff we don't know that happens when something's in development hell as long as it was. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was probably just waiting to get picked back up for them to even sink more money into it. So
Mm-hmm.
only thing we could do is wait, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I haven't gotten the game yet. Obviously, I waited, and all this happened. So now I'm definitely waiting until like March because they supposed to do like a super big patch in February to fix a lot of issues. So I'm not even worrying about getting it until March now. And I'm glad I waited. But it's just important because I mean we spend money on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
and we all have had enough of games glitches so bad where it can't play. They ain't gotta wait for this patch and wait for that patch. And it's like for those people who buy games day one, waiting for patches, you know what I'm saying, that come months later, but you can't play the game, you know what I'm saying, when you want to
Right
play it, and it
now. It's like
sucks.
you can't
Yeah,
even play their base game right now. So
exactly. And
you
it
know,
and it sucks, you know. So it I other studios might I mean like so I have to give it to was it 343? I might be naming the wrong studio. The studio
Halo
that's
and that.
behind Halo. Yes, the studio
Yeah.
that's behind Halo. Because after the demo, they was like, okay, so we gonna push it back. We ain't gonna announce when we gonna release it because we gotta work this shit out. And all that. And I hope they do a beta to get testing back from and feedback from gamers or whatever. But
They
it's just real
better.
important. It's important that gaming studios understand that you can't keep putting out games that are mad buggy, games that haven't been tested properly, games that people got to wait patches on in order for it to function. It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to them. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. And again, we literally have seen in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, how far CDPR's holding spell, how far the reputation fell off of one game, just one,
Yeah.
and it sucks because they've been making games for a minute, and it's just one game, and that's all it took, and now they're getting sued by their own damn shareholders. It's crazy talk.
I mean, the only thing at this point I feel like is just that like the people who try at least like the consumers are still trying to stand by them
Yeah,
are giving them enough at least giving them enough like boost to where it's just like, hey, uh we are still gonna stick by this or whatever and hold out or whatever. And who knows, like they might be able to get stock back up at some point or whatever. But it is something that
yeah.
we have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing is that like even besides CD Project Red, a lot of companies have been um really getting their ass chewed out, especially EA. Because I know I think it was either the UK or I know it's like either UK or Denmark or something like that or whatever. Like I know they sued EA over UFC and I think some of the other sports games or whatever because they added unskippable ads in the game like a couple of months after the games came out. So
EA be killing me. Like EA ain't got
and
enough
then
money. He be
right,
killing me
and
with
it's
this
just like
stuff.
and it's wild, man, and it's just like between that and I know 2K took a hit as well, because it's just like stuff that they the stuff what they doing with like with the packs and all that or whatever, which is getting to the point where like it is starting to seem a lot like gambling. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, again, like the stuff comes out, it's buggy, it's finding some kind of way to where people buy this game and spend $60+ on the game, and like now I have to deal with ads that would otherwise be in maybe like a free to play game or something.
Right.
And it's just like it is getting to a point where why a lot of people are looking toward the indie developers, because they don't do that. And that's why like AAA companies are getting bad reps right now because of that. And it's like, even what you said with Halo, they was getting, I think the main director like stepped away from it, and then they was catching heat for making the color swapping
game mechanics too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like putting like fees behind that stuff. So it's just like, I was like, no. Y'all not about to do this. So
And
it's like,
and I think it's important that the fact that we've come to a place where consumers can scream enough to even make these kind of changes. Because before you weren't getting shit back. You just had a buggy game. Okay. Right. I mean, that's just what it was. You know what I'm saying? And you're just gonna take this patch when they shoot the patch. You're just gonna take the patch and you're gonna play it. That's just what it is. Right. But I mean, now we're in a place where it's just and I do commend Sony and Microsoft for refunding money to players, gamers who wanted to get their refund back, because I mean it's important because we're paying money for these games that don't work, and it's not, we got to cut all that. So so that was my quick thing. We have been talking for a long time and it is late, so I do want to end this podcast pretty soon. And Cassio, I am so sorry. You asked the question like a whole, minute ago, and I did not see it until now. I'm just gonna do I'm literally gonna do 2 minutes, my 2-minute quick opinion about Wonder Woman, because I'm gonna have to talk about it. Jensen's not on. I kept my word. He's not on. So I'm gonna do 2 quick minutes. In all honesty, and I'm sure Follow Marvel want to do his 2 quick minutes or whatever, and we're gonna have a different opinion because I can see it in his eyes. So we're gonna have a different opinion already. My 2 quick minutes, so it's about to be I'm looking at the time, so I can time myself really quick.
All right.
My 2 quick minutes. Wonder Woman 1984 is not that bad. I done seen people complain that it don't have enough action. I done seen people complain, why was her wish Trevor? You know what I'm saying? I done seen people complain about all this stuff. And I think it's unfair to Diana. One, Diana has been on Themyscira pretty much her whole entire younger life. Love and being in love with a man is a new concept for her. She's trying to work through the feelings. She also doesn't age like regular people, so her love is kind of like an eternal love. Why can't she wish for Trevor? Didn't Captain America stay behind after Endgame to be with what's her face? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's a decision he chose because he realized that he loved her enough to do it all over again. So why can't she? Why can't she have that? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's fair to give her that criticism when there's other heroes who have made those same kind of decisions and sacrifices or whatever. As far as it not being that action pack, I guess I didn't go into this movie thinking it was going to be super action. So I didn't have a problem that it wasn't like what we saw in the first movie. I didn't have a problem with that. Maybe because I know, again, not comic version, but like TV version, cartoon version, Diana's stories even then had more heart than super action. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it didn't have action, but it had more heart. So to me, this was it was more of a heart superhero movie versus an action superhero movie. So I didn't have a problem that it didn't have a lot of action. I do agree with the fact that Gal Gadot might not be the best emotional actress. Okay, because some of the crying, I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like when she had to give up her wish, without me super spoiling, when she had to give up her wish, I didn't feel like she was as broken up like I felt she should have been, especially with the fact that she had basically introduced Steve to they were in the 80s, right? She had to introduce Steve to the 80s and all the things that he experienced. When it came time to give her wish up, I didn't feel that disconnect. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Nobody's paying attention to the fact that she taught herself how to fly. I found that to be dyke. Oh, I gave a spoiler. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. I'm sorry about that. My bad. I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated by the fact that Linda Carter, the spoiler alert, Linda Carter shows up in the end. Okay. I was screaming at that because I thought that was tight. I don't know. I guess I didn't go into this movie with like a Captain America type, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I guess I felt like if you were going into it looking for that, then yeah, you were going to be disappointed by Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman was just more heart. And I enjoyed the fact that she saved regular everyday people. We don't see that enough. We don't see a superhero doing regular superhero shit. And she did that in the movie. And I appreciated that she was just going by being just a regular superhero. I related to the Cheetah character in a lot of ways. When she took her vengeance out on the one wino dude who had, almost tried to rape her, okay, or whatever. I felt that shit and I understood it. So I didn't have a problem with that because it was some things that as a woman I can relate to that have happened to me before in my life. So I related to a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying, in the movie. So now, was it as good as the first one? I don't think it was. I don't think it was as good as the first one. But do I think it was a terrible, horrible waste of a movie? Absolutely not. So in my scale, out of a 1 to 10, I would give 1984 probably a 6 or a 7. And the first movie to me was like a 9. So I give 84 about a 6 or a 7, honestly. So that's my 2 minutes. So I don't know if anybody wants to do a quick 2 minutes. Cassio, did you want to do a 2 minute?
Yep.
Okay, so starting now, do your 2 minutes.
All right. So I actually agree. The movie is not as bad as everyone is saying it is. But the movie, the story it tells is not a bad story.
Right.
But I feel like it's kind of bad. Like the way I guess the way the film was structured, was very predictable almost. It was like, okay, Diana, villain, Diana, villain. And they give us this little bit of progress on their story, but it stayed stagnant. There were scenes that were basically not needed. The movie was long for no reason. I mean, they had this entire mall scene where she's basically web slinging like Spider-Man. She's basically web slinging this entire mall scene that just was not needed in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It was not needed to tell the story we were being told. You know what I mean? And I feel like there were scenes in the film that just didn't need to be there, and we were just watching this long and drawn out love story. Mm-hmm. That's what we were watching, a long and drawn out love story. And in the final moments, even like you said, because it's not. I'm going to tell you, it's not just Gal Gadot. It's also filmmakers. Like that last shot when she's talking. I'm sorry, spoiler. Can we just put in the description?
Yeah, I will. Okay, go ahead.
Wonder Woman spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Because she God, where was I? I'm sorry.
Just leading to certain, filmmaking.
Yeah, like the filmmakers, like that scene should have been shot a lot closer. The reason why you can't feel the emotion in that scene when she's talking to Trevor, because it's the medium shot. It's too big. You know what I mean? We're not we don't feel like her emotion. Like those moments weren't really captured. And you know what I mean? It was moments like that should have been captured. And they just seem like regular past, like they're walking.
Like a fleeting regular conversation moment.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's a fleeting moment. Like this conversation that doesn't hold any weight. That's not the actress's fault. It's we need dramatic music.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Closer to her face. We need all those things to sell that emotion. They didn't sell the emotion at all. So it's there's a whole lot of like things that I just kind of saw and I was like, that would have been a whole lot better if it was done this way. So it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that make the movie just feel kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I can understand that. Yeah.
It feels weird. It feels rushed. It really feels rushed.
And I agree with the drawn out, because the part when they were going through the fireworks, that scene was like, it felt like it was 20 minutes.
Yeah, I
was like, why are we in the fireworks? Don't we gotta get to the Middle East? Ain't we trying to get dude? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this film focused on
Got one
Diana,
more minute.
focused on Diana and Diana's emotional, her emotional struggle, her emotional journey. That's what it focused on. Like I might have seen Wonder Woman like 3 times in the whole movie or something. I don't know, but whatever. This film wanted to delve into Diana's emotional, makeup and all that, and that's what the film did. People were upset because they didn't see a whole bunch of Wonder Woman kicking somebody's ass. They didn't see a whole lot of ass kicking, and I mean, I agree. I would have liked more action for sure. I would have definitely liked more action without question. The movie just wasn't horrible, but it's not what you expect out of like a superhero movie. You want to see the fighting, you want to see all that action, you want to see all that. And this was a lot of storytelling, a lot of emotional, you know what I mean? A lot of emotional storytelling. And I think that they drew that out way too long. Way
I can agree with that to a point. Yeah.
That's the only thing. And since we said spoilers too, I got one last gripe.
Hurry it up. We gotta get
because look, they got the story they told about the woman. I forgot what her name was. She had the gold armor, right?
Asteria.
She pulls out the gold. She pulls out the gold armor in the last fight, and it's like I felt like I was supposed to feel, the power of that armor or something like that. But it's like they just introduced the damn armor like 20 minutes before she put it on. Like if this armor was like, I guess, so important, I felt like it should have been mentioned in the beginning of the film instead of like, hey, this is like a indestructible armor just chilling in your office. This is awesome. It's like, oh yeah.
Being fair, they did actually mention it.
They did with the statue in the game.
Story of it.
They told the story. Yeah.
They told the story of it. Yeah, they told the story of it at the very beginning.
During the game.
During the games. Then we see it 20 minutes, and then she goes to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might have missed that. It was
the question.
The games in the beginning, and they're all standing by the statue when the one Amazonian wins the games, and her mother is either her or
I think it was her mom. It was her mom.
Okay, so Hippolyta is telling her. So it is mentioned, but it's not dwelt on, I think. So maybe that might be why you might not be, because it's not really dwelt on, to be honest. So
I might have been talking to the person I was watching it with when it was explained. It might have, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think it. If it was mentioned, hey, it was mentioned. That's cool, but it still didn't feel like it was that important.
It didn't have the gravitas that you were. And I also think some of that too might be because I mean the previews took a lot of that.
They did.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were always showing it, like always, and it kind of took away from the awe that I think you were wanting to experience because it was everywhere in the goddamn preview. So it dwindled that down. But that's my opinion. So
yeah, well, no, sorry. Well, I guess for me, no, that's fine. I guess for me, it's like that wouldn't have, I guess, what I'm saying, changed the impact that it had for me. But like I said, maybe I looked away or talked to the person I was sitting with, but I still didn't feel like that armor was made out to be, I guess, as powerful as it was. Unless, like I said, I missed the mentioning before, but I did see the flashback, of course, telling Trevor the whole thing. I think he found it in her office or whatever. But I'm like, wait, there's just an armor like in her office. Like, what's happening? And she mentioned that. Oh yeah, I looked for it and I found it. She kind of like mentioned it, and it just. I don't know. It seemed like something.
She like it wasn't now that important.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I would look for it and I found it. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go to this invisible jet now. Like I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's okay. All right, Fallen Marvel, you got your 2 minutes.
Okay.
So wait. So Cassio, what would you rate it out of 10?
Oh, out of 10, I give it a 6.
Okay.
I'll give it a 6. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, because storytelling was predictable storytelling. I felt like I was watching a Spider-Man movie. To be completely honest with you, it's kind of weird. The reason why the villain was doing what he was doing just escaped me. The reason why the villain was doing what he was doing This dude, I'm not sure what he wanted, but you have a wish stone, right? You could just wish for everything that you want. Why do you have to?
I actually do remember this because I remember what they said. Basically, his entire thing is he wanted to not only be successful and to prove himself as successful, but he wanted to make everyone else successful too, because he had daddy issues because his dad was a horrible person.
Because he had a life of being unsuccessful. So he was trying to, it was basically what would happen if the world got everything that they wanted. That's basically what it was.
Right. It's like, why not just wish that? Just wish that. Don't wish to be the wish stone. Just wish that. You know what I mean?
But if he would have wished it, then something bad, something super duper bad would have happened to him because he became the wisher to keep that from happening to him. That's why he had to embody the stone. Otherwise, like what happened to Diana would have happened to him. So his son probably would have died a whole lot sooner, or something would have happened to his son because his son was the thing that he valued the most outside of and his company was already like a sham. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't losing anything. So his son, something probably would have happened to his son.
He was as he was doing it because he was like dying the more he did it.
I mean, he was until he wished for them organs.
And it's like the end of the thing was just him remembering his son. He just remembered the fact that he has a son, and all of a sudden.
No, he was remembering his life.
I'm sorry.
He wasn't remembering his son. You know he was realizing. No, he wasn't remembering that he had a son. He was realizing
that was his life that he was remembering.
That was his life that he was remembering.
But at the same time,
okay, follow Marvel. 2 minutes.
I was gonna go.
2
anyway.
Minutes.
Okay. Wonder Spider. I have to say that like my main issue with this movie was just how hammy it was. Like I get that they were trying to go for it, but it really seemed to me like the main thing they were trying to do with this movie was like let the 80s aesthetic carry it, and it just didn't do that. Now the mall scene at the beginning a little bit overbloated, but it was fun. It was lighthearted. It was fun. It was fine. I thought it was cool. But it was like after that, literally after that, like it was just like an hour plus of just exposition, and it was like paced really, really bad. And it was to the point where it was just like I was losing interest in what was happening. So that was like one of the things that stood out to me. The whole thing when Steve popped up, and it was like, it was so weird. Like when he popped up, and I'm just like, wait a minute. So it's like with everything manifesting, it's like, and I guess we're talking spoilers. It's like Steve literally just popped up inside of a random person's body.
Now that I have to admit, I did find that odd. He literally took over somebody, a conscious person, because the dude wasn't dead. He's alive.
He just
living
popped
human
up as someone else. And the thing is,
I do agree with that
because everybody was seeing like Chris Pine for our benefit, just so we know it's him.
Right.
Everybody else is seeing this
random dude, right?
The Hallmark guy, and it's just like
I do agree with that.
It's like what, and that's why and it was like so weird. And then it was like, for someone that basically woke up like almost 70 years later, you sure are taking waking up in the 80s quite well. Like like just dude, like this whole like 70 years you missed, and just whatever. And then like Max Lord's whole thing, like it's like, look,
you gotta admit it.
I'm giving Pedro Pascal props because he committed to that role. He did. But the whole writing for him, dude, he was just like Latin Trump in this, and it just did not work. And it was just like between that and like Barbara's whole development with the thing, and it was just like, even when they get to the point with her becoming Cheetah, it's like they did everything that they were supposed to do for it to be earned, and then it just felt like it just happened. Like she just showed up again. She was Cheetah. Like when that happened, So it's just, it was just so many things that they glossed over, like the abilities that she was using when stuff like they just glossed over it. It's like, oh, I can make stuff invisible. Like, what? Like,
now I did say that when Diana was in the plane, and I was like, so her invisible plane, she makes it, and I thought it was something in the plane, but
No,
she can make
she
it
did that.
invisible. And I was sitting there like, when can she make stuff invisible? When did that ability?
I asked myself the
happen?
same question. I'm like,
I did
wait
say
a
that to
minute.
myself. Like, I thought it was
And
cool, but then I was like, what? Wait a minute.
I'm
where did
like,
that
wait
come
a minute.
from?
It was like, it was that, and then like the whole thing with like her powers kind of like going on and out. Like, I get why it was happening, but the way they were like kind of introducing it was like really inconsistent, because it was like she had trouble like pulling off that lock, but like when they get to Saudi Arabia, she's like pushing an armored truck at like 40 miles an hour with like little effort. It was like that was kind of like inconsistent. And as far as like the climax goes, like with the third act was kind of weak. Like I have to say that the third act was pretty weak.
Very,
like
very weak.
The cheetah fight wasn't all that great looking. Cheetah's design was meh. Like it was okay in some shots, but it was like other shots, it was kind of like, because again, we weren't introduced to it. It is like she just popped up. Like that's why like everybody's starting to have like this Cats reference now. Like it's not that
well,
bad.
she talks about what she wants to be to Max Lord in the fight, and how she wants to be an apex predator. And so
we don't see her turn into that though. She was still normal in one scene, and then the next scene when Diana goes there to like when the armor, she's just.
So you wanted to see the transformation? Is that what it was?
It had to be something, because she's still normal. Then all of a sudden she's feral cheetah. It's like there was no transition to that. Like she was still
even like an indication that she was changing or anything.
Yes, it was, because when she walked out of she walked out of there was an indication that she was changing.
Like it felt like it's
not pronounced. It's not a pronounced transformation. I agree. It's not a pronounced. But as she's walking out, as he's in front of the TV, she starts getting weak and she grabs onto something because her body is slowly changing into what she wished for.
Right.
So it's there. It's just subtle.
Like it's not pronounced.
It's not pronounced.
It's just like there. And then of course, like the whole like thing with the renouncing the wish scene at the end or whatever. Look, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, but I'm sorry.
Because your time.
I was getting Mr. Satan and the Boom Saga vibes from that. Like
I don't know what that is.
If you've seen the end of Dragon Ball Z, the Boo Saga with Mr.
I don't watch DB. I don't.
For y'all that know.
Oh, everybody else out there. Okay.
But that whole thing when he was touching, like reaching out to everybody through the TV waves, and she just happened to do the thing and was talking to everybody for everybody to renounce the wish, and I'm like. That just felt so lame, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't have
a problem with that. The only thing I asked myself was how did she do it? Only because we see her trying to fling the lasso, and the lasso ain't getting through his wind penetration. And that's
kind of part of the problem.
So that was where I was like, well, when did she grab? When did it make it to his foot? Because she was having problems. That's the part that I did say.
And that's a problem too. There's a lot of how and whys through a lot of this movie, and that's one of them. So,
it's like, how did that happen? What? Yep.
All right. So what's your score? You got to get to your score because you hit your 3 minutes. So what's your score out of 10? Be honest. It's okay. It's okay. You look like you want to say 4. You look like you want to say 4.
5.5.
What?
5.5.
That's higher than what I thought. I thought you were about to give it
it's not the worst movie I've seen. Like I've seen worse offenders, but this movie was lazy. It was lazy to me.
All right, so Toku Terry, did you see it? Did you see the movie?
I saw it. I don't have.
You got your 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want, you got 2 minutes.
I don't need 2 minutes. It was really average to me. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it's also not fire-rendingly terrible. It was just like, yeah, this is a fun, stupid 80s movie. Can I go home now?
Well, being the only girl in the group, that's just what it is. But I do agree with all of your points. I don't want you guys to think that I didn't. I do agree with some of it because I'm telling you, that last scene, I was like, well, when did her lasso? Because she was having problems getting it. She
No
was having problems
indication.
getting it through the wind. So how did she grab his
I'm
foot?
trying to figure out how she
So-
got problem to get through the wind. She just lassoed a damn plane. It was like a 747. You see that,
Dude?
She just
Dude,
lassoed
tell
a
me that
damn
her
plane.
lasso did not have extend powers, Dro. Like,
Yes,
I'm
it
just
did.
saying.
It's
it did.
And now
magical.
you
You are
can't
questioning
reach the dude in the middle
magic.
of the damn room.
It's
But
magic.
okay.
Magic.
But
You know, how
even
come they
still,
magically grabbed the dude the first time she whipped it? Look, you know
Listen,
what?
I told
she
you that's
also
part.
magic-
That's what.
now,
Right.
there was a
I
part where
told
she
you that was the part that I
lassoed
questioned.
through
I
there.
question that, so I agree with that.
That's what I'm talking
I agree
about.
with
One
that.
minute she gonna lasso a
lassoed
whole plane.
She
whole
like lassoed
plane.
like, in the air at one point too.
Which
She
is tight.
really-
I don't care what anybody say. I was looking at that like, oh shit,
She was lassoing lightning,
she's riding. She
bro.
lassoed lightning.
Lightning.
Listen, if Peter Parker can fling his web in the middle of something where there's no buildings and grab something, she can grab some fucking lightning. Y'all gonna get
Hey,
off
look.
my girl grabbing lightning.
I'm just saying.
Okay, that's just all I'm saying.
At least
I was
explain
gonna say
She's
something,
magical.
bro. Like,
It's a magical rope. It's
I
magic.
understand
Okay,
that. Well,
I'm
I
gonna
can
need y'all
see
to-
him grab the dude in
She
the middle
can
of the
fly.
room then.
Her learning to fly, what she need the lasso
I
for?
agree with that. I don't understand. I don't understand how she couldn't get through it because at the end she is grabbing his leg. So, but she had a problem, and I agree. I was like, well, wait a minute, because like 5 seconds ago you couldn't get through the wind. So how do you know that you grabbed? Maybe it's aerodynamics. She found.
Nah.
She found it was aerodynamics.
My point is, she was swinging off of lightning. That's my
The
point.
lightning didn't
What-
have wind resistance.
What?
Okay.
What
Listen.
could he have? What?
She was already flying though.
He had,
What did she
he
need the
had the
lasso
power
for?
of suggestion guiding him. Okay, it's powerful.
Okay, you
Ooh,
right.
I just made
Already
that
flying
up.
though. She was already flying. What did she need the lasso off of lightning for? She was already
No, she was gliding. She hadn't flown. She was gliding. She needed that momentum. She had to get the lightning to get momentum. Y'all don't get off my girl. She learned how to fly. Because a lot of people were mad. A lot of people were mad in the first movie that she wasn't flying. So now she's flying, and y'all got a problem with her flying. Y'all was mad she wasn't flying before.
She's flying.
And now she's flying.
She pulled it out of her ass.
She needed that momentum. She needed. Y'all gonna get off. Y'all gonna get off.
No, all I'm saying is she could swing on lightning. She could grab the dude in the middle of the room.
I told you I agree with that. I didn't understand how she was blocked 1 minute and then the next minute she had this angle because I kept asking why is she talking in such a calm voice? Like I didn't get it, and I was like, he could hear her and all that wind. I didn't get it, and then when they started doing the things, and I was like, oh, she's talking to the people. Oh, how did she know that would work?
But
How did she know that grabbing him
like,
would work? How did she know grabbing him would work? That other people.
I don't even know how him using the TV thing was supposed to work.
Because it was like satellite connection. I don't know. It kind of reminded me of DC when Jim Carrey played the Riddler, and he was able to get everybody's thoughts in his head. Remember? And it made him like super smart. That's what it kind of reminded me of a little bit. I don't know. He could hear him. He was the wish thing. So every time they made a wish, he could hear it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I don't know. Okay, so I'm a 6. I'm a 6, 7. Toku Terry, do you have a score at all that you want to give it out of 10?
Yeah. 6.5 out of 10.
So we're kind of all a 6 except for Fallen Marvel. Fallen Marvel's about a 5.5. So I mean, like I said, with Wonder Woman, I honestly don't. I do agree that I don't think it was as good as the first, but I didn't go into the movie with. I guess because I know a lot of her stuff, so I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be like knockout action like all the time. So I do agree with you, Cassio, that it was a love story that just happened to feature a superhero. That's literally what happened. You know what I'm saying, and whatever. And I do agree with that. So in the way that this movie was hyped, I did expect just a little bit more. I don't really know a little bit more of what. I just expected like the stuff that didn't make sense. Again, the lasso not reaching him, but then it got to his ankle. That shit should have made sense. Like it should have made sense. You know what I'm saying? And then if she uses her momentum, she probably could have blasted through the wind and knocked him off.
I'm thinking
the thing. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
I'm thinking the logic there is that it went.
They were trying to show compassion or whatever. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking the logic there of how it got around his ankle is since the wind tunnel built is mostly focused from the top down, she just went down and around it. Because if you ever noticed, things that are lower to the ground during a windstorm aren't as affected by the wind. So I'm thinking that was the logic behind it.
Maybe that's how she did it.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But
and then you also have to think there weren't a lot of, like, Wonder Woman could pretty much beat up everybody in this movie. So it wasn't. I guess the whole thing about action is, who was she gonna fight that she couldn't put down? There was nobody else with powers in this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, who was she gonna fight that she?
That's what I think
down?
overall. It's like this. It's like, okay, look, you could keep the Steve Trevor thing. That's fine as long as it's paced well. But kind of everything else that surrounded it was pretty weak. It's like, don't even use Maxwell Lord. Use something else. Have a better story with Barbara or something like that or whatever. Because like even like her thing or whatever, they use the same old trope with her, like, oh, she's this ditzy person with glasses that no one finds attractive, and all of a sudden she's attractive again to everybody because she makes this wish and all this stuff. It's like everybody's already made this same comparison. It's the Selena Kyle and Batman Returns. It's the Edward Nygma and Batman Forever. It's the Max Dillon in Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's the Adrian Killian in Iron Man 3. It's the same trope over and over again, and the trope wasn't even done that well in this movie. And it's just like,
again, that might be because of the whole 80s influence. They're like trying to
that's what I'm saying. It was too hammy. It's like they didn't have to be that hammy. I was like, I get they were trying to use the 80s aesthetic, but it was way too hammy. Like even like that whole dressing montage with Steve went on way too long.
I enjoyed that. And you want to know why? You want to know why I enjoyed it? Because normally it's a girl going through the montage. I don't remember seeing
fine.
That's why I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny.
That's fine.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that's what I feel like. Yeah.
They both felt like they phoned that into me. I'm sorry. Like
I thought it was funny.
didn't feel
I was
nothing
cracking up. I was like, oh my God, I thought that was funny. But again, I'm used to seeing a lot of this where it's reversed in the woman roles, and I appreciate that Patty reverses it into the man, and that's why I enjoyed it, because you don't see a man really go through that little montage that you talked about. Normally, it's a woman going through that, so I appreciated that part of the movie. I thought it was enjoyable, but that might be just a difference in perspective between the sexes, kind of thing. Not saying sexist or anything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the portrayal. You know what I'm saying, Cassio? Yeah.
I actually feel like Patty Jenkins' influence might actually have more things in the film that more women would appreciate more. More. I
agree with that. Than a man would, probably.
Than us that's just trying to go and see some things, see some fights.
Get beat up by
get kicked in the face. I'm trying to see a whole world get kicked.
Right. I think that's a big part of it.
Story. I'm trying to.
I think that's a big part of it. I agree with you. I think that's a big part. I will say
the mid-credit stinger was actually my favorite part of the movie. With Lynn Carter, like that's honestly. That honestly wound up being like my favorite part of the whole movie. So it's like okay, that's pretty dope. Like the whole the whole winking into the camera was a little bit too on the nose, but other than that, it was.
I thought it was cute. Yeah.
Okay, this wound up being the best thing about the movie to me. So it's.
Well, again, that's what we do. Also, we got 3 6s and a 5.5. Well, I'm a 6.7, 2 6s. And a 5.5. So that's not bad. I guess we only got one Wonder Woman movie left. Well, one solo Wonder Woman movie left. Well, at least with Patty Jenkins. I'll say that. I don't know about Gal, but with Patty Jenkins, we only got one.
On the bright side, at least we finally have confirmation that they're just going to let Zack Snyder do his own thing.
Oh God, we didn't even get to say that.
No. I'm saying that's a good thing. He can go do his own thing with his weird, objectivist, proto-fascist heroes, and we can go. And we in the actual movies can go back to good heroes.
We'll see, because I'm still thinking whether or not if I'm gonna watch it or not. Like I really am not.
So we can't even talk about it because we done been on this thing for 3.5 hours and we gotta get off.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We can't even talk about it. So just so really fast, what I'm saying, on behalf of all of us and King Likes Ian, who I did leave a little bit early. Okay, we are so happy that you guys are tuning into the podcast. We are actually doing. I have to share this with you guys later, but we are actually doing really well on Spotify. We are actually doing really well. Awesome. We have for only really posting, because I think I got us on Spotify 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that. We already have over 100 subscribers. So people who subscribe to our podcast. So that is a good. Exactly. That's for all of us. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you doing this with me every couple weeks and during these conversations. I enjoy talking with all of you. We are so happy that you guys out there really do appreciate and love this podcast. And we're looking forward to giving you more great shows next year. Try to have some guests on, go live a little bit. You know what I'm saying? May even have, I don't know if Toku Terry does. I don't know if he does, but I feel like Cassio does. Follow Marvel has a baby at home, so he might not. But we may have a podcast. We might do a shot every now and then and tell our drunken nerd our 5 worst movies while we're drinking.
It has to be when Grandma has the baby.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do anything that messes up with the baby, but we enjoy, doing this every couple of weeks. We're glad that you guys enjoy it too. So from all of us, from Planet EJOBN, we want to, make sure everybody has a happy and safe New Year. Please be healthy. Please still adhere to COVID guidelines because COVID is still very real out here. And we want everybody to be safe and to be alive and to be happy and to just be wonderful. So that was my quick little ending. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything on to that, but I'm very appreciative of everything. So with that, are you guys good? You guys good to sign off? Do our last 2020?
Yeah.
Our last 20. Toku Terry, you want to plug your novel one more time? Plug your book.
One last time for the one last time. Remember to buy my novel, The 21st Century Guide to Mythology, Greekness Retold. Links in the description. Blah 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 blah. I'm sorry. I'm starting to develop a headache. I'm just kind of done with 2020.
You're good. We're getting ready to sign out. So with that, we just want to say thank you to everyone, and we will see you guys in 2021.
See you there. Stay safe. Stay awesome.
All right, and that is the end. We are out. God, 3.5 hours.
That's
still alive.
Hard edit there.
I know it's trying to end. Fallen Marvel just have to edit it. It's trying to end. Like I clicked
I can edit it out.
and it's still trying to end.